This lesson is Solve Exponent Equation Part 1. Note, when I have even power, I must put plus and negative. One more time. When I have even power, I must put plus and negative. One more time. When I have even power, I must put positive and negative. So here's a square. To get rid of square, we have to square root. So square root this and also square root to the right side. So therefore I just have x. Square root 4 will give me this 2. Because this power is even, I must put plus and negative. One more time. Because this is even, I must put positive and negative. Okay, and here's the reason why. Positive 2 times positive 2 will give me positive 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 gives me also positive 4. So that's the reason why we have to consider positive and also negative. Okay, so one more time. When you square root, and if the power is even, make sure you put positive and negative. And this is the symbol for positive and negative. Over here, this is cube, so we want to cube root 8, and cube root 8 is technically, there are 3 2's, so cube root 8 is technically, there are 3 2's, because 2 times 2 gives me 4, multiply another 2, which gives me 8, so there are 3 2's, so cube root of 8 gives me 2. Okay, however, because the exponent is odd, we don't change this or we add plus and minus in. We just leave it alone. So do not change the solutions. Okay, so one more time. If it's odd, whatever the answer is, leave it alone. Do not add plus and minus in. You only add positive and negative when it is even power. One more time. Even power, put plus and minus. If it's odd, we just leave it alone. Do not change it. Okay, here's another example. What happened if I have negative 8? So cube root negative 8 is technically, there are 3 negative 2. Again, cube root negative 8, there are 3 negative 2. So negative 2 times negative 2 gives me positive 4. Times the third negative 2 will give me negative 8. So technically, cube root negative 8 is negative 2. Again, because this is an odd power, we do not change our answer. Okay, we just leave it alone. We do not add plus and minus in. One more time. If this is even, if the power is even, you must put positive and negative. If this is odd, then we just leave the answer as is. Okay, here are some more example. Square root x squared equals 75. So square root both sides, so I have x square root 75. Now I want to separate 75 into two numbers. Make sure the number that you use is square root. Make sure the number that you are using can be square root. So I use 25 and 3. So 25 times 3 will give me this 75. Again, 25 times 3 gives me this 75. I want to square root this 25, so it becomes 5. Square root 3, I cannot, so leave it alone. And this is an even power, so you must put positive and negative. One more time. Even power, you must put positive and negative. Okay? Here's another example. So let's make the 5 over first. So this is a positive. So bring the 5 overs, which is negative 5. So 73 subtract 5 gives me 68. I want x to be by itself, so divide by 3 to both sides. So I have 68 over 3. I want to square root this 2. So square root. So take this 2 right here. This is a power 2. So I want to square root to both sides. So I have square root 8. Square root 68 and also square root 3. Okay, so square root 68 and square root 3. Again, this is an even power. I must put plus and minus. If this is an even power, I must put positive and negative. Okay, so 68, I broke it up into 4 and 17. The reason I chose 4 and 17, because one of the number can be square root. So that's why I chose 4 and 17. Again, 68 is 4 times 17. Square root 3, I just leave it alone. Now this square root 4 becomes this 2. Square root 4 right here becomes this 2. Square root 17, leave it alone. Square root 3, leave it alone. However, do not leave like that because I don't want radical in the bottom. Do not leave this radical 3 in the bottom, so we have to get rid of it. And this is how we do it. So rewrite the entire problem here. Rewrite the entire problem. And here's my work on the side. So 2 radical 17 over radical 3. Now to get rid of this radical 3, I multiply only the bottom radical. So rewrite the entire problem. So the entire problem was here. I rewrote the entire problem. Now multiply only the radical in the bottom. Just the bottom radical I will multiply, top and bottom over here. Okay, next I just multiply across. So 2 is just 2. 17 times 3 gives me this 51. And then 3 times 3 gives me this square root 9. The top, I can't do anything about it, so I leave it alone. The bottom is square root 9, which is 3. So this is my answer without the radical in the bottom. Again, make sure no radical in the bottom. And don't forget the positive and the negative, okay? Because in the beginning, it was even power, so I must have positive and negative. Again, no radical in the bottom, okay? Next example. So here I have parentheses 2x plus 5 to the third power, negative 6 equal 21. So move this negative 6 over. So move this negative 6 over. So that becomes positive 6. So 21 plus 6 gives me this 27. Okay. This is a cube. So I want a cube root. So cube root to the left and also cube root to the right. So this cube root and this third power go away. So I just have 2x plus 5. Well, what is cube root 27? Which is technically 3, 3. Why 3, 3? Because 3 times 3 is 9, times the third 3 will give me 27. So that's why there are 3 3's. So these 3 will cancel out. All I have left is the 3 inside. This 3 right here where I am circling, this 3 will go here because this cube root and this cube, they can be canceled out. So cube root 27 is 3. Next, I want to move the 5 over. So this is a positive, so bring the negative 5 over. So 3 subtract negative 5 gives me negative 2. I want x to be by itself, so divide by 2. So negative 2 divided by 2 gives me negative 1. Okay, so be very careful. Again, when I have even power, put plus and minus. When I have odd power, just leave the answer as is. Okay, so be very careful.